Spooky season is here, and you know what that means. It's time to read some spooky manga. Now, full disclosure, I'm not really a big horror guy myself. Never really messed with slasher movies. Never been a big fan of Junji Ito, who's basically Asian Jesus in the West. I've always been interested in reading more Junji Ito though, so if you're a big fan of his and you want to recommend me some of his best series, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. Not Uzumaki or No Longer Human though, I have read those. I think the more I read horror manga, the more I enjoy the genre. And I've got some great ones to recommend / talk about. Everything from an unfinished masterpiece from an ecchi artist to a manga that's on hiatus due to the mangaka getting nightmares from his own creations. Let's get it started with the first manga I read for spooky season, or should I say manhwa, a Korean manga. Now, I know I'm starting the video out with talking about things that I don't like, but I really have never been a fan of manhwas. The manhwa art style, it's just not for me, and the big reason I haven't read a ton of it, but this one makes up for the lack of detailed artwork you get from a typical manga with its impeccable story. This series is called Bastard. Full disclosure, there will be spoilers in this video, but I'll try to keep them to a minimum. Bastard reminds me a lot of a series called Blood on the Tracks. Great series I'm not going to talk about in this video, but it's a great horror psychological thriller that got me into all of Shuzo Oshimi's works. And it reminds me of that series because of the gaslighting psychotic parent. The story starts out by making the viewers think that our main character is the murderer, but slowly shows little details that make you think something isn't quite right in the first couple chapters. That's when you find out that the real murderer is his father, who's been using him since he was just a little kid to lure his victims in and knock them out for his father's sick, sadistic games. It's a great series full of twists and turns that keep the readers on the edge of their seat, with so many great suspenseful moments due to the excellent writing by Kim Carnby. You get the mix of romance, friendship, and get to watch our main character trying to find acceptance for what he's done and truly find himself. They wrap up the story pretty well in this complete manhwa. There's definitely some things I would have changed about the ending, but overall, it was pretty solid. Definitely worth the read, and it's a quick read with only 5 volumes. For the next series, I'll take quite a big turn from our previous one with lots of fan service and comedy? Now, this is not the ecchi artist I was talking about earlier, we'll get to that, but this one definitely has some fan service in it. It's a body modification, horror, gore-filled manga with tons of funny moments called Frankenfran. It's an episodic take on chapters like so many other horror mangas do. It has the short story, but also an underlying plot that helps the reader stay engaged. A series from 2006, but has that awesome retro style, excellent artwork, very cool character design. The mangaka crafts not just cool-looking characters, but lovable ones as well, with my favorite certainly being Fran herself. If you don't mind a little fan service, this is certainly a great one to read that also has that Halloween vibe in spades. Another short one with it being 8 volumes, complete series. For the next one, we'll talk about a manga I mentioned before, a horror manga that's on hiatus due to the mangaka getting nightmares and even contracting an illness that one of his characters from the manga had, relating the life-threatening illness to his manga and him putting the manga on unofficial permanent hiatus for his own mental sanity, with him still working on his other horror manga, Seeds of Anxiety. This series is called PTSD Radio. Now, I couldn't tell you if the mangaka is being serious or just bullshitting to add an extra layer of realism, but it certainly does add that extra layer. The manga itself actually has most of the story of what he went through in volumes 5 and 6. The artwork is well done throughout the entirety of the series. This manga was one of the things that made me think, damn, I need to see about getting into Junji Ito because this series reminds me a lot of his works. With such a low rating on my anime list, I didn't think I would enjoy this series, but it was actually pretty solid. Nothing that special, and that's why I feel the story may be somewhat fabricated to add that extra layer of interest to the series, but one way or another, it was an entertaining aspect of the series. The entire series is a ton of short stories with an underlying plot similar to Frankenfran, but they're all connected in one way or another, with a plot going on throughout the series slowly explaining why all these weird phenomenons are happening. I will say a lot of the short stories just seem a little weak to me. Just see something, hear something, then show scary face, ends there. But like I said, overall recommend this series. It's 6 volumes and on hiatus. We got 2 more series left to talk about, so let's talk about the horror manga made by renowned ecchi artist and one of my all-time favorite authors, creator of Prison School, Raw Hero, and the series we're going to be talking about today, Me and the Devil Blues, by Akira Hiramoto. Now, this author is known for his hilarious gag humor, his stunning artwork, and of course, his over-the-top fan service. He crafted an amazing manga, steering away from his typical ecchi style for a more grungy vibe. This series is based off of American musician-songwriter Robert Johnson, with the story's origins specifically being based off of Robert Johnson's song, Me and the Devil Blues. Me and the
devil was walking side by side.
A series about the blues singer's yearning for musical prowess to the point of selling his soul. It's a series that sadly will most likely never be finished, but it's worth the read nonetheless. Akira Hiramoto to me is one of the all-time best mangaka artists out there, and if you want to see his artwork without the crazy fan service or storytelling, then this one is definitely for you. And if you're a fan of his other works like Prison School, I highly recommend this series as well. It's just something so unique from him. I really wish he would do more series like this with a more serious tone, but hey, I'll take what I can get. Lastly, I want to talk about the goriest manga I've ever read. A series that's been on my ever-growing to-be-read list for years, a series by the name of Pumpkin Night. Kind of a take on the spirit of Halloween, where a girl that is viciously bullied takes vengeance on her aggressors, and it gets more and more wild from there. We got Naruto, Donald Trump, buff Elon Musk. This series is just a roller coaster, but not a roller coaster of emotions, because the stories and characters are absolutely terrible. I did not feel any emotion towards any of the characters, no matter how bad what was happening to them. It's just a slasher pretty much. To me, what this series has to offer after reading 10 volumes is pure gore, which is accentuated by the excellent artwork done by Taniguchi Samai. This series is written by accomplished horror mangaka Hakazono Masayo, who has tons of horror manga published. Joey the Anime Man actually just recommended one of his series called Freak Island, which I'm interested to read, but that's beside the point. What I was getting at was that the story and characters are horrendous, but does have the occasional cool character design. The biggest thing this series does well is the insane over-the-top gore, which I do enjoy some gore, so if you're into that, you might like this one. I can't even show any of the panels because of the insane violence. It does have that Halloween vibe going on with it, you know, with the whole Pumpkin Night thing. Not one of my favorite series of all time or anything, but I did enjoy it enough to read some of the author's other series, and I just wanted to talk about it because it's been on my list for so long. If you're interested in this series, it has 10 volumes out in English, but not in a physical print. You'll have to read scanslations online. But if you do want to read it and want a more serious tone, make sure you're not reading the scans done by a goddamn meme lord. Tomorrow, concrete will be poured into here for the foundation, and just like a shitter, it'll be full to the brim. Their bodies, along with my tax records, will be buried forever under the building. It's an ongoing series with 118 chapters at the time of making this video. And that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys have been reading for spooky season, and if you have any recommendations, leave them down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.